Fala galera, meu nome é Eduardo Souza e esse aqui é o meu mais novo trabalho, que é um podcast. E de fato, esse aqui é o primeiro episódio. E eu aproveitei aqui uma para entrevistar alguém aqui muito especial que está em turnê no Brasil, na América Latina, na verdade. E já que ele está em Brasília, eu vou aproveitar para inaugurar esse podcast com a participação dele. Então, a entrevista vai ser em inglês porque ele não fala português, mas a gente vai dar um jeito depois de botar uma legenda para todo mundo poder entender. Vamos nessa. So we're here with our super guest, special guest, Mr. Olli Soikkeli.
Thanks for having me.
Did I have it right?
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Okay, there you go. Okay, man. So thanks for being here, man. Super welcome.
Thank you.
And well, you're touring in South America, right?
Yeah, first time in Brazil, and I did a little tour in Argentina as well, and it's my first time in South America, so but it's great to be here.
Great, man. Yeah. It's great that you're here.
Finally made it.
Great. So where did the tour start off? What was the first show? Was Argentina, Brazil?
It was in Brazil. I had a couple days in Brazil. Jose Fernando in Piracicaba, who is our Brazilian contact in the Gypsy Jazz world. So and he runs the festival here in Piracicaba in August. So I knew Jose from I think maybe 2016. Met him at the Django Fest Northwest in the U.S. And I had contact with him before, and then when I decided to come to Brazil this July August, I reached out to Jose, and he was very happy to hear that, and he put this show together in Piracicaba. So we played a beautiful theater there, and with Jose's group and the great guitarists, but so many of them, Sandro Haik and Alessandro Benezzi stopped by and played a couple of tunes with us. So that was my first gig in Brazil. Such a warm welcome.
Excellent, man. Because José Fernando Seifert, a shout out to José Fernando Seifert. He's a great, musician, judge.
Yeah.
And he organizes the Festival de Jazz Manouche de Piracicaba for like 11 years now. It's the 11th edition's coming up.
Yeah.
And I've been there twice with my group, Gypsy Jazz Club. It's been an awesome experience. And I've also met Sandro Haik too. So shout out to Sandro Haik.
Yeah.
Alessandro Penezzi, great friend. He was here last week.
Yeah.
I had the chance to hang out. Great, man. So from Piracicaba, where did you go to? What was your second show?
So we played a show there, and then I flew to Buenos Aires, and through social media I heard about these guys, the Django Sessions, and I was like, wow, there's a great group of playing this style Gypsy Jazz in Buenos Aires. So and then I had a friend who put us in touch with each other, and then these guys, they arranged a whole week of we played a really beautiful show at the Thelonious Club, which is a great club in Buenos Aires.
Awesome.
So we played there, and then played another show. I think we had 4 shows total, and then did a workshop, and it was there's a great scene over there for Gypsy Jazz in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, we had the chance to meet these guys, I think, Roque Monsalve.
Yeah.
And Rafael Marrero, I think. And the other guys too. Great musicians, man. Shout out to everybody in Argentina too.
Yeah.
Ricardo Pelican, Walter Coronda, everybody else there.
Yeah.
Great players, man. Great scene.
Great scene, absolutely.
Okay, man, good, man. So you're here. You're going to play tonight a show with Gypsy Jazz Club in Clube do Choro, right?
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Very
it's
excited.
My background is in the Django Reinhardt, Gypsy Jazz. But then my time in New York, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, I got introduced to Brazilian music. And I've always been a fan of Brazilian music. But then living in New York, I started studying it, and choro was pretty much my kind of introduction to the playing Brazilian music.
Great,
so
man.
So I've been hearing about this this amazing scene here in Brazil, and this school in Brasilia. So now it's kind of crazy to think that we'll be playing there tonight. So
excellent.
Very excited. Yeah.
Great to have you there.
Yeah.
And okay, so we're gonna get back into it. But anyways, let's talk about you, man. How where are you from? And you're from Finland, right?
Yep.
And whereabouts in Finland are you from? Which city? How big is the
Mm.
city you're from? How long did you live there? How was your upbringing? How and then you tell me what's your first contact with music? How did you get interested in
Mm.
music? I want to hear about that.
Mm. Yeah, so yeah, I grew up in a small town in the eastern part of Finland, town called Nurmes,
Nurmes.
and grew up in a non-musical family. I'm pretty much the only one in the whole family like who picked up music and made a career out of it. Um, so, but then I got into guitar when I was 12 years old, and in Finland, heavy metal music is a big thing.
Heavy
So
metal. Wow.
so my introduction to guitar was rock and heavy metal, and
Really? What
yeah,
artists did you like back then?
Metallica was my
Metallica.
yeah yeah.
Wow.
So I was trying to learn some Metallica tunes and then just like basic chord shapes and stuff like that. My first teacher was my oldest brother's high school friend, and so he was a metalhead, So we were working on that stuff, but then I got lucky, because in my town Nurmes, it's a small town, like about 8-9 thousand people, and you can imagine that there's no real jazz scene
Yeah,
in a
man.
place like
Eight
that,
thousand people.
right? And in the eastern part of Finland, but there's a local guitarist who was kind of like the local legend, played in all kinds of dance music bands and folk music, Finnish folk music, back from the 60s and so on. But then he fell in love with music of Django Reinhardt and Stefan Gerber, Gypsy Jazz. And when I started, my first teacher, the high school friends of my brother's high school friend, he moved out of my town, so I was like, didn't have a teacher, and I was kind of like, I was playing sports at the time, so I was kind of like, am I gonna keep up with the guitar or no? But then my mom got me new teacher, which was this guy, this older guy, Kari Päkkönen, his name, and he was when I started taking lessons, he was like really into Django Reinhardt and the Rosenberg Trio and these guys, and he just like ordered one of those beautiful handmade guitars, and but then he had a problem. He had nobody to play with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So pretty soon those lessons they turn into learning repertoire, and he would show me the rhythm guitar,
So what
and
did you first learn? Like, was it La Pompe, the first thing you learned? And
yeah,
so you
yeah.
started to accompany him then.
Right.
Okay.
And from very soon I started playing gigs with him, because he was never a full-time musician, but he always was kind of the local guitarist who would do all these gigs around that region of Finland.
Was he full on gypsy jazz or was he more like rock or anything else? And also gypsy jazz, how was
Yeah,
it?
yeah, like yeah, kind of that Finnish dance music and folk music background, and yeah, uh wasn't like really like a real that like knew the style inside and out, but stylistic thing, and like and yeah, the all the rhythm guitar stuff I learned, that was such a great foundation. And then just the fact that I start to work as a musician, from so like I still think that the best school is in the you learn on the job and
For
on the
sure, man. Yeah.
bandstand. So
100%. Yeah.
yeah, so and it's all these things that are not just about music, just like the all the stuff, showing up on time, and how do you behave, and so, all this stuff, so I learned from, and to this day, it's been helpful.
Great, man. And how did it go from there? So we started learning. What age was that?
I was like
How old were you?
14,
You were
14, 15,
14.
yeah.
And from the age of 14, taking lessons with your local hero.
Yeah.
And then how did that go from that to being a super, world known gypsy
Yeah.
jazz guitar player you are now?
Yeah. Well, then it's like, the word started because we were playing quite a lot of gigs in the area. When I was 15, yeah, 15 years, 15, 16 years old. And then the word started to get around that there's this guy playing, then like pretty, like when I started taking lessons with my teacher, then pretty much like it took maybe a month or two, and then I was like hooked, then that I knew that this is it, this is the music. uh and then I was just like practicing like crazy, just spending every minute with the guitar. And then I was making progress, and then the word started to get around Finland that there's this young guy playing this music, which is not a popular thing in Finland.
Was there a scene, a gypsy jazz scene in Helsinki or anywhere else in Finland?
There, I mean, there's always been like some people doing it, but never to a point that it's like like now after how long I've like 20 years of playing this style, so there's never been like like people who really got it together, like as far as the as we like when we think about Django Reinhardt or Stockel Rosenberg, like to that level, and like really knowing the nuances of the
Hmm.
music. So yeah, not really a scene. Now there is I lived in Helsinki, and so there was like a little bit scene building up back then, and now there's a like I think it's a weekly jam session happening, and some shows, and there's a couple great local groups in Helsinki.
There you
So
go.
yeah,
Great.
but still very small.
But anyways, in a few years, I imagine you became also like a local in the jazz scene in New York, right? So how did you make the move, the
Mm,
transition from Finland, from your local town,
right.
to then Finland, and then to become like a cat in New York, New
Right,
York
right,
jazz
yeah,
scene?
yeah. So anyway, so yeah, like I started playing around Finland first, and then then you start doing some jazz festivals and stuff, and then I met my luthier, the AJL guitars, whose guitars I still play,
Excellent, man.
and he's well known in the gypsy jazz world because of his great instruments, and he's also like a very great entrepreneur. So he told me things like, now it's like, YouTube was kind of like starting out, and like Facebook and all this stuff was kind of new, and
What year was that?
that must been, let's see, so like maybe like 2006 7.
2006, man.
And
Okay.
so then yeah, I was playing around Finland, and but then we put a version of Joseph with AJL, the luthier, and I was
He plays
yeah,
guitar too. Okay.
he's a great rhythm player,
Okay.
and so we played a version of Joseph, and he posted it on YouTube, and then that kind of introduced me to the international world of gypsy jazz. And then from 2008 till 2013, every year I went to the Samoa Festival in France near
Uh-huh.
Paris,
All
the
right.
Django Festival. And so I met so many people, from all over the world there. And so I met Americans there, and then there's a big jazz festival in Finland, Portuguese Jazz. So
Portuguese.
that's
Okay.
always every year people from New York and everywhere come to perform
And then
there.
you went there and you,
So I
you met the
met
guys.
Americans,
Okay.
and then they tell you that cliche like, "Hey man, you should come to New York." And then 2011, I just went as a tourist for 2 weeks just to visit, uh, and then I was like, "Wow, this place is amazing." It's like just that I felt the instant energy in the city, and then people who knew me from that video, and like going to Samoa, and then I was already at that time playing with a great gypsy guitarist, Paul Schaefer.
Paul Schaefer, great man. Paul
Yes,
Schaefer, we met him last year too in
yeah,
Piracicaba, man.
right,
Great person,
yeah,
big,
one of the greats, yeah,
awesome man.
yeah. So that like working with him from that early on, I learned so much from him, and then also it kind of lifted my status, so people from started to know from our project together. So then after that first trip to New York, I just started getting invitations from people like, like saying like, "Oh, when you're coming back," and or we have this festival, and we have the Django in June, the camp in
Hmm.
Northampton, Massachusetts, and all this kind. So I started to kind of get in pulled, like getting invited to U.S. And then every time I went to US and did some like I did Django and June camp or the Django Fest Northwest, then I was like, oh, I would always spend some time in New York also, and so then I got familiar with the Gypsy Jazz scene and the traditional jazz scene in New York.
Hmm.
And then we our group Rhythm Future Quartet was also
Yeah, I've heard some of those recordings.
right. So that
Amazing.
that kind of started picking up. So there was just a lot of stuff happening at the same time in the US. And then 2014, it's like most of my gigs were there. And then I knew the people. So I had so many friends and colleagues in New York. So then I was just like, okay, like instead of doing this back and forth all the time from Finland, let me just like, find a place in New York
Apply
and
for a visa and
yeah, yeah,
stay
right,
for good.
right, and yeah, and I went in like, let's see what happens. But now 11 years later, I'm still
You're
there.
still there,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Great, man.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's get into a little bit more specific here.
Hmm.
So you started out with your teacher in Finland, and
Hmm.
you probably learn a lot from the internet too.
Oh,
I can
absolutely,
imagine, right?
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Because as we know, Gypsy Jazz has a
yeah,
certain specific technique,
sure,
right? The picking
yeah.
technique's different. Like you down pick most of the notes and
Hmm.
everything. Tell me a little bit more about that. How did you get to know this technique? Because you don't come from a Sinti background, right? You're not from
No,
a Sinti family.
no, no.
So you got to know Paul Schaefer. You probably
Hmm.
saw his technique, which is amazing,
Right,
incredible.
yeah, yeah.
And how did you play back then? Did it change the way you play? Did you try to learn the technique? Did you
Mm.
stick to your technique that you already had? How
Mm.
was it?
Yeah, so my technique is kind of unique in this style, and it was like when I like really fell in love with this music, then it was just like nonstop listening to records and yeah, there was a time that I knew every Gypsy Jazz video on YouTube. Now it's not possible, but back then it was like there wasn't that much videos, but so it was just like kind of just like constantly absorbing the music and the sound, and then I would just like try to imitate and learn this stuff. And but at the time, um I was my teachers told me about the alternate picking, so that's kind of my it's still my foundation is the alternate.
That's how you started out. That's how you play today
Right,
still.
right, yeah, that's for the most part it's like.
And did you adopt the floating hand like they use
Mm.
in Gypsy Jazz, or is your hand closer
Yeah, my hand is
to the body of the guitar?
it's yeah, it's closer to the, but I would see like from the videos, I would see like, okay, like the hand is it's a little arched, and then but when I play rhythm, then it's like I got the it's just the loose wrist,
Hmm.
you want that. And then it's, yeah, like kind of just like try to get that sound. So then there's like the retro technique and um but yeah, I was also like just like able to get kind of get that sound with alternate picking and even with the upstrokes. And I guess it was just like the time I put into it, and just try to like find the sound in your for what I heard from the records and the videos, and then then you kind of get that sound in your head, and then you just try to find it from your
There you go.
instrument.
Yeah, right on.
But then there were a couple books. There was a book about gypsy picking, and
Which one, from Michael Horowitz?
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I have that one too. It's a great
Right,
book,
right.
right? Yeah.
So I bought the book, and then I was trying, I was like, okay, I was like, okay, there's this like very specific thing how you do this, and I was working on it, quite a while, but I was like never like really getting it like that I'm able to play the stuff what I was like already able to do with alternate picking. And so I just like kind of gave up, like really like trying to change my technique, and I just like kept playing with my alternate, like, it's not like 100%. There's always like, that there's like a lot of stylistic licks and phrases that,
Yeah.
you might have to do like the
Uh-huh. I know.
double downstrokes and stuff like that. So it's a mix, but for the most part, it's alternate
So
picking.
you're in between, but using mostly alternate picking.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
It
And
sounds great, man. You develop a great technique
right,
yourself. Like,
right. I mean, it's Stockler Rosenberg. He said like that. He's never seen, anybody to be able to get the sound with alternate picking. So
no, if
it's
Stokely says it,
yeah,
who
yeah,
are we to say otherwise?
right, yeah, yeah.
Okay, great, man. Stokely Rosenberg. So you told me you played with him, right?
I have, yeah, a couple
Stokely and
times.
a lot of the other greats, right? So
Yeah.
which are the like the players you enjoyed playing the most so far? Like these Gypsy Jazz legends
Mm,
we all love.
right.
Stokely Rosenberg and Briella Green and
Yeah,
Angel DeBar, which is one of my favorites.
yeah.
Did you ever play with any of those three? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, Stockholm is kind of the Rosenberg trio is kind of the reason, how I got into this style. It's like my teacher gave me, record of the Rosenberg trio, the live at the North Sea Jazz Festival, that famous
Classic record,
concert,
yeah.
and then a record of Django. But I think at the time it was just like, it was that because that Django record sounded like old and it wasn't so polished to sound. So I gravitated at first more to the Rosenberg trio recordings. And it was just like that, yeah, Stokolo's beautiful sound and his like incredible technique. So that was like, I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. So that was a big deal for me to like, got to meet him first and then
Sure, man.
and then like get to play a little bit with him. So that was amazing. I've got to jam a couple times with Angelo, and but bitterly I've met him, but never got to play with him. But there's so many
Yeah.
greats. Like, but with Paulus, we've been playing since I think 2009. So
Wow, that's
that's
great, man.
that's a long
16 years.
yeah, and and it's like COVID kind of you know like put some breaks in our project, but like still every time we come together and play, it's just like it's like natural thing. It just happens. It's so easy to play with him, and
Yeah, Paul is a great player, man, legend, straight
yeah,
out, and he's a
right.
gentleman too, man.
So yeah,
So nice, so
yeah,
nice to be around.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
a great hang with him
yeah,
last
yeah.
year. Yeah, so to those who don't know the style of music we're talking about, we're gonna get a little bit into that. So, because many people don't know what Gypsy Jazz is about, Jazz Manouche, or
Right.
in Brazil, some people say Jazz Cigano, but I like the term Jazz Manouche because
Mm.
it's where it's come from. They say it in French, that's the term. But anyways, Gypsy
Yeah,
Jazz. So, and this guy right here, Django Reinhardt, is our number one guitarist and idol for sure.
absolutely.
So can you tell a bit? Can you tell us a little bit of what you know, what you
Mm,
like about Django and what Django means to you
mm.
in your career and everything?
Yeah. Well, he was first of all like kind of the first European uh jazz star, because the music was still the new music coming from United States, and the all the greats, Louis Armstrong and Benny Goodman, and so then the swing music came to Paris, and Django, even though he was born in Belgium, he was mainly based out of Paris throughout his career, and so he started hearing this new music coming from America, swing music, and Django was like he was always uh, going for the new stuff. He was always into the impressionistic composers in France, and then being from the Sindhi gypsy background, so they had their music, and then of course playing in the clubs in Paris, you play the musette, the accordion style, you know and I'm sure he played with accompanied singers, accompanied everybody, and he was also like at first mostly you know accompanying the greats coming from the US. So he's been there's so many recordings of Django from all kinds of situations, just playing rhythm guitar for whoever, Coleman Hawkins or something. But then, he became a, international star, and then uh kind of put this group together with great violinist Stefan Grappelli, and of all string instruments. So instead of having the kind of the usual jazz rhythm section of drums and piano and bass, so you replace the drums with the rhythm guitar, and drums and piano with the rhythm guitar, and they had the great the famous quintet was two rhythm guitars, Django on the lead guitar, Stefan Grappelli on violin, and then a double bass.
His brother on rhythm guitar.
Right, right, yeah, yeah. And it's it's a very very unique sound, and as it became
Yeah.
popular,
Yeah.
and then but then I guess in that when rock music, and then all these others, these different phases in the history of music happened, there was a kind of quiet phase of this music. But then I guess maybe in from the 90s going into 2000s and up till now, I feel like it's just growing and growing,
Yeah. I think
the
with
popularity of this music.
maybe Hot Club Records too, like from John Larson, right?
Yeah,
He
John
did a
Larson.
great job, like
Oh,
doing this
absolutely.
great recordings from Rosenberg Trio, Angela
Right,
Bar. So pretty
right,
much all the main recordings are from
right.
that label,
Label,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the documentary, the Django's Legacy, you know, it's in a way like the this famous documentary in this style, like in choro. I always like compare the Brasileirinho documentaries, like they're like kind of the how a lot of people get introduced to this music.
Yeah, true,
Yeah,
true. We're gonna get into that
yeah.
in a little bit.
Hmm.
So we're gonna go back to your career. So you're in New York now, living permanently there. And how did you fit in that scene? How did it start? Did you get straight into gypsy jazz gigs? Did you get into straight jazz
Hmm.
gigs? How was it? How was your time in New York in the beginning? Like
Hmm.
from you being like this new guy in gypsy
Yeah.
jazz to I don't know if there's a big scene of gypsy jazz in New York. Can you tell us more
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I finally in 2014 moved there, um, it was like at that time I was like pretty just focusing on like the blinds on just playing gypsy jazz, and all this stuff what we did with Paulus in Europe, and then we were already like uh starting off with the Rhythm Future Quartet. So there was this little buzz about like, okay, like this guy is moving to New York. So
Where's the Rhythm Future from?
they're based out of Boston.
Out of Boston.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
Massachusetts. Yeah.
okay.
And so it was like, my way into the New York scene. It was pretty comfortable, like I was like the first week I was living there, I was playing like 6 gigs that week.
Whoa.
So it was like there's a lot of the stories like when you come in, like you have to grind all the jam sessions, and like little by little you start to get work.
So in your case, right from the start, you had like pretty much a gig every night.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So there's a pretty healthy gypsy jazz scene in New York. Stefan Rembo is kind of the first ones
The guy
who,
who composed Bistro Fada, right?
yeah, for the Woody Allen
For the
film.
Waterland film.
Yeah, yeah, Midnight in Paris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's been kind of building it up, this kind of like grassroots scene in New York, and a lot of it happens in Brooklyn. And so there's a lot of players, but it's like it's kind of a part of the overall traditional jazz scene. So there's but there's guys like Stefan and a few others who are like really, they know this style. uh but then there's a lot of like the American players, they kind of go between from the more the old swing style, of the like Louis Armstrong and Benny Goodman, and kind of that kind of feel, and then they might play gypsy jazz gigs.
Uh-huh.
So it's a, like kind of the American version of it.
There you go.
So but like all of
It's
these,
kind of the other way around. So first it's swing music influencing European musicians, and then it going back to the United
right?
States,
Yeah,
people playing
yeah,
the European version in their own
right, yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah. But then it's just all these people would start hiring me for gigs, and so I would meet the whole scene pretty quickly, and it was it was a kind of a niche style in New York still. uh so that was it was a great thing for me, kind of getting to that New York scene through that, this style and that scene. So it's been great for me.
Great, man.
Yeah.
It looks like you made a name for yourself there.
Yeah, yeah.
And not only there, but the whole world, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
great, man. We all know about you, man. It's like your chops are amazing. I mean,
Oh,
like you're one of the leading shredders in gypsy jazz music.
wow.
That's for sure. That's for
Thank you,
sure a
thank you. Yeah.
reference. And yeah, man. So you're playing gypsy jazz there and straight jazz and everything else. And how did you get into choro music? Now we're gonna get into the interesting part for Brazilians,
Mm,
because this guy right here,
right.
he's a great choro player too.
I mean, I don't know about that, but I love the music, again, and I guess it's like that's kind of the what I just end up all these places, like this podcast is just like because I love this music, and that's just kind of following that, it says taking me all over the world, and well, but like how the choro, uh
With the blessings from Pixinguinha here.
yeah, thank you, yeah. No, but I mentioned that documentary, that Brasileirinho,
Brasileirinho from it's from a
Finnish
Finnish
director,
director,
yeah,
right?
Mika Kaurismäki.
Kaurismäki. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I've met him in Switzerland once.
yeah.
I told you, right?
That is crazy. Yeah,
With the guys from Trio Madeira Brasil.
yeah,
I was hanging out with them, and Mika was there.
yeah. I
Super
never met him, but it's
funny dude.
yeah,
Funny dude. Fun dude.
yeah. Those the two brothers in Finland, like, who are very important figures.
His
in
brother's
that.
is an important filmmaker too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Aki Kaurismäki. Anyway, so I was in my teens in my town in Nurmes, and again, I was kind of lucky. We had this hip movie theater. Like they would um, show movies of like the new movies and stuff. But then, every once in a while, or like I think it was every Sunday, they had like a daytime movie they would show, which was something different. And the guy who was running the theater, so he was a big music fan, played a guitar himself too, and then he told me about, like, oh, there's this documentary about this music, this Brazilian stuff, and I was just like, I was went and checked it out. And
Did you know anything beforehand about Brazilian music or choro music, or
not
did you know
really,
what it was,
yeah.
or did you know any tunes?
Yeah, I'm sure it was like just kind of that that internet rabbit hole that maybe from what I was just like, something might have come up, Brazilian music, but I really didn't have a grasp, like what, who are the figures, and
Okay,
who
was anything on your radar?
yeah, everything was kind of new at that point,
Okay.
and then I saw the documentary, and heard all these amazing guitarists, like Marcelo Gonçalves
Marcelo Gonçalves,
and Diamante Costa and Hamilton de Holanda
Milton Jolanda.
and so many others.
Milton was a fellow. He was born in Rio de Janeiro, but he actually grew up here in Brasilia. You know that,
Wow,
right?
yeah. So and it was just like in Django's Legacy, it's just like the director managed to create this like magical
Atmosphere.
but this music, and I was like, wow. And so I was like, I started to look for this stuff online, and yeah, so I was really like, but I never thought it was so different, and I couldn't like really like figure out like what's going on. It
How
was,
did it sound to you at the first time you heard it? And you were like, do you think it was like jazz? Like it sounded like very different to you than things you had heard before, or
yeah, well, maybe now, like, I'm trying to remember like, well, like what was I listening at that time, but I'm sure I had a phase of that crazy guitar trio of Paco de Lucia and Al Di Meola and
John
John McLaughlin.
McLaughlin, yeah.
So I had that
Uh-huh.
like a flamenco. I was really drawn to that style and hearing that Spanish kind of harmony and those, so
Acoustic guitar.
right,
Yeah,
and
okay.
shredding, and then like in that documentary is that trio Madeira Brazil, like they play Santa Morena, and it's and that has that Spanish
Yeah,
influence kind of,
totally. Yeah.
and so I was like wow, what's happening, it just sounded amazing, but it was like so, because in Gypsy Jazz we got the rhythm guitar playing the quarter note, so like where the time is, but this is like, it was so, I remember just being like,
Out there.
yeah, like the floatiness and the just like
Yeah.
this free flow of the music was like amazing. So but it sounded so kind of different at that time that I was like, oh, okay, like
All right.
I just want to like appreciate this music, but I'm never gonna be playing this.
Okay.
But then living in New York, I met another local Brasilia musician, Eduardo Bello, great
Eduardo
bassist.
Bell, yeah, fellow
Yeah,
Brasiliense.
yeah. And I met him pretty much like the first trips to New York. So I've known him for a long time, and we were playing. He's in many different scenes, like some bass
Yeah,
players
he's
are.
great, man. Eduardo Bell, shout out to Eduardo Bell too.
Yeah, yeah,
Great dude,
yeah.
all
It's
around.
yeah, absolutely. And so we were playing Gypsy Jazz gigs together in the beginning, and became friends. And then he would like introduce me to other Brazilian musicians and stuff, and then I found about the Roda de Choro happening in Brooklyn and at the Becco Bar, and
Which doesn't exist anymore, right?
the place is still there. Unfortunately, the jam is not happening
Okay,
anymore.
okay.
But that was happening every Sunday, and then I just started going there and like listening to stuff with the same amazement when I like saw the documentary. But at this point I've been listening to the music for a lot more, so I had a
Okay.
yeah.
So what are the first artists you started listening to? Pixinguinha, Jacó?
I think I was more of the guitar players like Yamandu's playing. I like was really like trying to find everything about this guy and his recordings, and I listened. I remember important recordings was the duo with Yamandu and
Paulo Moura?
no, the other guitarist, now I'm spacing out the name, older guy, he's like with the white cover and with just the
Ah, okay. I
text.
think it's one of the seven string dudes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's his name? Walter Silva.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Great guitar player, man.
yeah.
Legendary.
Right. So, and that record is still, I go back to it, all the time.
I
And
love the version of Arabiando.
oh
Great.
yes, yeah, yeah. Right.
Great, man.
So that was one of the records I listened a lot, and yeah, no, I got somebody gave me a CD or something of a lot of different Brazilian guitarists, and so there was like is it Paulo Becker and the all these great people. So it was mostly I was interested in the guitar part of it,
Did you
so
listen to anything from Rafael Rabelo?
absolutely, yeah, yeah, like that duo recording of with Paulo
Paulo
Moura.
Moura. It's a
That was,
great record,
yeah,
man.
and then the duo with Gino.
Gino Sete Cordas.
Yeah, yeah. So those, still some of my favorite recordings. But then it wasn't really until I started like, so I went, go a little bit back. So when I started going to Becco Bar, so then Eduardo Bello was hanging there, the great accordionist Victor Gonçalves, and there were people like Anna Cohen would stop by and jam, and
And that's another great foreigner
yeah.
who plays great, plays really well Brazilian music,
Oh
right?
yeah,
She
I mean
plays
she's in another
plays
level.
choro
Yeah, yeah,
really well. I met her in the United States, and she's amazing, man.
yeah,
Plays
yeah,
in clarinetist.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
great.
So and then the seven string guitarist at that the choro was Cesar Garabini. And so then, the first time or the second time I went there, I went to introduce myself and just like say like, wow, this is incredible, what do you do? And we started talking, and then turns out that Cesar is a fan of Django Reinhardt and
Oh, I didn't know that. I
jazz
didn't know that.
guitar.
Oh,
So then I was like, all right, like we should let's get together and just play some tunes. And yeah, we did.
he plays seven-string guitar, right?
Seven string
Okay.
guitar, yeah. So we would jam on some Django tunes, and then I think at the time I already knew like a couple like Receita de Samba and maybe Ternura or something, like a couple choros, So I'd like try to play, and so and we try to play that to like that tune, and then it's like of course my groove is totally wrong, and then Cesar just like shows me the basic, the first time we jam, and then I was like uh at that time I never used my fingers before. I always
Ah,
play with a
okay. With
pick.
a pick, and then you transition to using your fingers.
Right. Well, at first I was like trying to
Uh,
let's see like how could I play this stuff with the pick, and but I was like, oh, like I wasn't getting it. So then I just kind of like made this decision. Like I had the video of Cesar showing me the groove with fingers, and then I was just like just watch it over and over again and start, but it was kind of a decision because I knew it's gonna take a while to like get my fingers going, that I'm able to like play on the up tempos and stuff.
uh-huh.
So then it was just like maybe a year and a half of just like putting the metronome on 40 and just like doing it, and yeah, but little by little that the grooves started to get together, and then from like pretty much right after we hang out, I had a couple of gigs, my own gigs in New York of duo. So before I was always hiring a jazz bassist, and we would play some Gypsy Jazz and standards. But then I just started ask like Cesar if he would be interested in doing these gigs, and he was kind enough to say yes, and so then I was like, okay, like I have this opportunity to play with this amazing guitarist who knows this stuff inside and out. So then it's like I just started to learn those choros, and it was, I'm sure it was painful at first for Cesar to
No,
watch
come
me.
on.
Yeah, yeah. But then we would always mix in a couple Gypsy
Mhm.
Jazz, so it was always so now we've been playing together like what 5 6 years, and it's the project has always been kind of like Shoro meets Gypsy Jazz, or
It's great, man.
yeah.
So you both of you guys are working as ambassadors for sure music, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Oh man, well, I mean, but that, yeah, big shout out to Cesar Garabini,
So they
because
gotta be me.
without him, it's just like I never would have gotten like to this point, or like at this speed, without like having someone like we never had like a lesson that
Uh,
like, but it was just like, yeah, just playing these gigs and hearing, and yeah, again, you just like you need to get that sound and the feeling in your
mhm.
kind of like inside you. So just like absorbing all that stuff from him,
No,
then
great.
little by little I started to like get it together,
Yeah, but
and it's still ongoing process,
yeah, man. But anyways, a great player like you, whatever you
Mm.
play is gonna sound good, anyways.
Ah,
And with time, you're gonna sound each time more Brazilian. You're gonna have your own groove too, which is
mm,
already great. So,
mm.
thanks for playing Shadow Music, man. I know your version of Alumiando, I think.
Oh
You guys
yeah,
play?
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's beautiful, man. Great version of
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. That, yeah, I remember that was was it Paulo Sergio Santos? Is
Hmm.
this the composer? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great crazy melody. I put a lot of time into that, learning that
Yeah,
tune.
you can
Yeah,
imagine because it's
yeah,
so
yeah,
intricate, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So what was like from a technical side of things?
yeah.
What were so you mentioned here the grooves, which are
Mhm.
different to you, were kind of was not as like gypsy jazz, like like the
Right,
rhythm guitar playing
right.
every every beat.
Hmm.
So how what were the main issues for you to start playing choro music? I
Mm,
mean, technically and everything else, like the groove. What were the things you had to adjust or to
mm.
pay more attention to in order to sound more authentic and to try to get close to the sound you wanted to?
Yeah, well, maybe it was like at first like that very typical mistakes of like when you play the groove that like you syncopate the like try like everything or so then it was like a big revelation for me like when Cesar told me that yeah it's like like you kind of feel the one and three or but I mean this music you feel in two, right? um so but that was just like the to get that foundation, that it's like, and then you start to like add stuff, but it's still like
Have to lock in.
right. And then at first it was just like all this kind of these like rhythmically you guys are so precise and there are all these anticipations and stuff. So at first I wasn't really hearing it. I just like with playing with Cesar I thought like he's like he flipped the beat or something, so I was really like starting from the beginning. But then it's like yeah it's just again once you start to feel those things so then it's open up a whole nother world of the rhythm, which is like help my jazz playing and everything. It's just like it's all kind of the same thing. All everything
Great, man.
enhances. Yeah.
Awesome, man. And as far as I know, so now you've been to a few rodas de choro in Brazil.
Mm,
By
yeah.
now, you've experienced a few
Right.
some of that in São Paulo, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how was it to you? Like, what was your impression of a roda de choro, a real
Mm,
like a Brazilian roda de choro in Brazil?
yeah. Yeah.
What did you experience as a musician? What could you notice? Did you play with the guys? Did you
Mm.
watch? Did you? How was it?
Yeah, I was there to just to observe and
Hmm.
just yeah, it was unbelievable. I went the rest Requinte or the
Hmm.
restaurant in
Uh-huh.
Sao Paulo. Every Monday I believe they have the order and yeah it was just the level of the musicians was crazy. um yeah, so just to hear that and it was like I felt like yeah there's a little bit like a nuance difference what I've heard from like the there's a great Brazilian scene in New York too,
Hmm.
but it's just like hearing it here, it was like wow, it's like, and there was just at one point of course the place was packed with people and I was kind of like a little bit behind, but then there was like times that it was like it was grooving so hard that I just had to like climb myself up and like see what's happening. It's crazy.
Cool, man.
Yeah, but in New York, I've noticed like kind of one observation was like because in New York it's like the jazz influence is everywhere, like so, like
I
all
mean, such a like the most iconic city for jazz, and
right. So all the Brazilian guys they know how to improvise and take solos and in the kind of the jazz language. So in a lot of uh the New York jams, they would like improvise over these, and then like the ones I've gone so far, they were more traditional here in Brazil that they were just kind of playing the tune and just like
and the
and
form, and
right and
okay,
and variations on the melody, but not
okay,
really like taking improvised solo or like short like little clips here and there.
maybe here and there, like C section maybe,
Yeah.
but not the whole form
Right,
like
right,
in jazz, right?
right,
Yeah,
right, right.
interesting, man. Okay, let's get to your works. So
Hmm.
how many albums do you have out by now? And can
Yeah.
you tell me a little bit about them? Or are they how are they different in styles? Do you have
Mm,
any choro music
mm.
in those albums? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So yeah, I've been recording for a while now. It's like I think the first one we did was 2011, and that was a straight up Gypsy Jazz album with AJL guitars, the luthier on
The guy on
rhythm
rhythm
guitar,
guitar?
yeah, and a local bassist and a violinist from Georgia, Vitali Mereli. He was as a guest. So that was
It
my
was recorded in Finland or
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
and yeah. So that was kind of my first record, and that was yeah straight up Gypsy Jazz. And then the next one was with Paul Schaefer,
Wow.
and yeah, so
From your debut record to
yeah,
Paul Schaefer.
Paul
That's
Schaefer,
great,
and
man.
and then we did we did two with Paulus, and there might be something in the works, but later on that, yeah.
Great. Yeah, man.
And then yeah, Rhythm Future Quartet. That was kind of the move I made to US, and that was a very solid group. A great violinist Jason Anik. So we kind of started off that group, and so we did, let's see, we did 3 records with that group, and that was with that group we kind of just used Gypsy Jazz as a foundation.
Because I've heard some of that. So you guys recorded, for example, Desvairada, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's already some choro in there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so we would do like explore a lot of different styles, but like doing it in the Gypsy
Is the
Jazz.
band still going on in Boston, or?
Yeah, the band is still band still exists. I stopped with the group. COVID kind of again. COVID changed so many things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did like my last few gigs on 2020 2022. And but yeah, COVID was a big break. But before that, like from 2014 to up till 2019, we were playing a lot. Like almost like 100 shows a year, touring, because
Okay.
I was in New York and they were in Boston. But yeah, with that group, yeah, that was a great like growing experience, because the guys, they played great, and then just like having this group of like a real group that works together all the time. And so
Yeah, it's so good. They have their own groove, and
yeah,
it
like
sounds so good. Like when you have bands that have
right,
been around for a while, it sounds so good, right?
right,
Instead of just a gig, there's a bass player here,
yeah,
and
yeah,
a
yeah,
rhythm guitar player here.
right. So and so it started as a straight up Gypsy Jazz group, but then yeah, we would have always original music on the records, and arrangements of standards, and then yeah, we play some choro, and yeah, a lot of different style. Like we had some like some tunes from the Balkan music and all kinds of stuff. So that was really cool, because yeah, it's the instrumentation, and it's I feel like it's a great platform for all kinds of you know um different styles of music influences.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
And but then I started like I've always been a big fan of the great jazz guitarists, like Wes Montgomery, and Joe Pass, and Herb Ellis, Barney Kessel, so on,
I
so
love
on.
Barney Kessel, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love his groove. I
yeah,
love
yeah.
it. So swings so much.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then I was living already like many years in New York, and there's a great scene for gypsy jazz, but still it's a city for kind of the American style, and the new, even like New York style of jazz, which
Uh-huh.
is Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk, Bud Powell, and Miles Davis,
Bebop cats. Yeah.
Coltrane, and all that stuff. So I was like, I was always a fan of that, and I started to, you know, go hear that stuff all the time in New York at the clubs, and then and then just like being in the scene, you meet people from all different scenes and stuff. But yeah, I really wanted to like get my art stop playing together, and I my one of my dreams was also like having a group like Oscar Peterson had with Ray Brown and Herb Ellis, with the guitar, piano, and a
Uh-huh.
bass.
Yeah.
And in Finland,
I
we
think they
have,
use a Gibson L5 or something like that.
yeah, I have it's like a Gibson L5 replica, but also from AJL Guitars. Amazing art stop. So that's I've had that guitar for a long time, but it was really like up on maybe 2016, 17. I really like started to practice that guitar more than my Gypsy Jazz acoustic. Um, and then there's a great amazing pianist in Finland who's like like kind of took the throne after Oscar Peterson. He's like incredible. Originally from Romania, but been living in Finland for 20 something
What's
years.
his name?
Marian Petrescu. and so I got to play over the years with Marian in like Gypsy Jazz settings, and then like the Bori Jazz Festival jam sessions and stuff. But then I wanted to put this that kind of trio together, and so then I started to like lean more in that kind of American swing, uh, bebop style of playing.
Playing the electric guitar,
Yeah, yeah,
the arch top. Yeah.
right, right,
Okay. Does
and
it differ? Like, does your technique change in any way when you play arch top? Can you tell me
yeah,
more about that?
yeah. I really had to like learn to play softer.
Because of course, because gypsy jazz is such you need so
Yeah,
much volume, right?
yeah. Like it's so important that those
Yeah.
accents and that. So, but you
Yeah.
need to put some power
Hmm.
behind playing the acoustic guitar to get that snappy sound. So it was I was playing the R stop too hard, and then it was also like the language. In the Django style, we are mainly playing arpeggios and kind of like like yeah, very arpeggio based way of improvising. But then I was like starting to hear the bebop language in my head, like more of the chromaticism
Yeah.
and the
Like it seems like you go to the same place, but with the more intricate path, right?
yeah, 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 right, 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 yeah, exactly, yeah. And then also the phrasing of like leaning back a little bit, like in Gypsy Jazz is kind of like you know kind of having that like little bit, I wouldn't say rushing feel, but like a little bit pushing it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the stylistic way to phrase this stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it sounds a little funny if you do it with that, like with the jazz rhythm section with the drums and or like or with the bass and the piano. So then it was just like, yeah, working on my
Not pushing so much, maybe
yeah,
dragging a little bit.
yeah, like yeah, uh, and then yeah, and also then the language and then all the repertoire, So then um, pretty much like up until now or like a year or two ago, I was like mainly focused on playing art shop, and so I had that trio with the piano and guitar. Then we added drums, and
Hmm.
so we did a quartet, and then like last year, I recorded with the drums, guitar, bass trio featuring all New York musicians. And in New York, I was doing a lot of gigs with drums and bass because that's another thing too. Like the drums kind of open up the
Uh-huh.
space so much.
Yeah, you don't have to comp so much, and
Yeah, yeah. So it's like then, so it was like working on like dealing with all that space and like but now I feel comfortable kind of like doing that. So now it's like I've been actually like just practicing my acoustic again. It's like, so it was I kind of I
do
need
you use the same pick for both, or
I use a different, I have thinner pick for the art stop.
which picks do you use for each
I use the
guitar?
vegan picks.
The
The
picks,
yeah,
the
like
white one, just like
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
one I have. Yeah.
yeah. So 2.5 the Gypsy Jazz pick
Okay.
for the acoustic, and then I think it's 1.5 the bluegrass pick for my art stop. But yeah, I felt like I needed this little break because with the Rhythm Future Quartet we were so busy and playing this so I felt like I need a little break from Gypsy Jazz, and just to like I've noticed that for me it's like the most kind of important thing is to just like that I keep growing as a musician, try to get better, improve, and stay inspired. So it took a little like had to take a little break from the style and check out other stuff. And also at the time when I was doing a lot of the jazz stuff, that's when I was really working on choro as well.
Ah, there you go. So after the Rhythm Future, three records, right?
Yeah,
And then you went on to the straight jazz and
right.
everything,
And with the
drums.
yeah,
And then do you have any record out with mainly choros or?
we do. So like I said, we've been playing I think like 6 years with Cesar Garabini as a duo, and 2 years ago we did a tour in Finland, and and then it was just, we had like 6 7 gigs, and then I just thought like, there's some great studios I know in Finland, so I just booked a studio, and we recorded our debut album with Cesar. It's the title track is Choro Novo M Do,
Should have known though.
and so we call it Choro Novo, that record, and it's mostly features Choro tunes like we
Why
did.
it's not in C major?
No, yeah. No, we did that one, and then we did like Perigoso, and we did Doce de Coco, but then we did like tune from Baden Powell, and then we did like tune from Caetano Veloso, and
Great, man. Just
so
música popular brasileira.
right, and then we had like a couple jazz tunes in there. But yeah, that's yeah, that record is it's out there.
Great, man. So what I noticed in your career, you started out as this gypsy jazz guy and
Right.
super accomplished musician, everything, and then you're gravitating towards like Brazilian music and straight jazz. So you're pretty much open to anything, right?
Yeah, and I've like like I said, like I taken this step away from gypsy jazz. Now like coming back to it, I feel like I have something different, going on, because I was
Renewed.
yeah, it's like because I was like so much coming from Stockholm Rosenberg and Django and Birelli and all the greats, but and I was kind of feeling that a little bit, that maybe that frustration was also, I was like, okay, like I'm not, like it's like I'm playing like other people's stuff. So then like putting that guitar away and getting away from that comfort zone, and putting yourself in that, like the different rhythmic feel in the jazz and choro. So then I'm studying that music. Then now coming back to gypsy jazz, I feel like I have my like own sound, and I've heard that from, again, from the great people like Paulo Schaefer and Stoffel Rosenberg. So
If they say so.
yeah. So but yeah. So it took that thing to like get away from it, and then getting inspired with some new influences, and then coming back to it with the fresh take on it.
Great, Ollie, great. And how about your compositions? Do you write music? Is anything in the works? Are you planning to release anything out with your compositions? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, yeah, like the composing part is it's like, I guess I'm just having too much fun practicing guitar and learning all this great music that is out there. So it's like it's never been like my main focus, but it was with Rhythm Future Quartet. It was a good experience because whenever we're doing a new record, the guys were kind of putting some pressure. It's like everybody has to, bring some tunes to the uh for the record. So then for those records, I had to write some tunes, and then it's like when I like really like took the time, and like, and you have a deadline, then it's like I was surprised myself. It's like, wow, it's like actually, I can do this, and it's like pretty happy with the tunes I wrote for the Rhythm Future records. But then, like changing the style, there was just so much repertoire, and still is like from all the greats, like the American Songbook, and the jazz composers, to Pichinguinha and Jacob, and all the choro composers. So I'm like I've been on kind of like on the shed phase of just trying to learn this the repertoire. So like the last few years, I haven't been really writing any music.
Yeah, but I think with time now, you're listening to so much shorter.
Yeah.
We can look forward to an Oli CD with only shorter compositions in the future, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Who
that might
knows?
take a minute, but yeah. I mean, it's possible, and I've always felt like, that experience with Rhythm Future was kind of like having a set group, because it's like as a, like a working musician who tours a lot, it just sometimes is there's the realities of time, and like what is like sometimes it's not possible to tour with your band, and like you play with the people, like now, like we're playing here with you guys, and when there's a like limited amount of time, then it's kind of then it's important to know that standard repertoire,
Yeah.
that you can still put a great show together. And so I've always felt kind of that I need a like a set group to like have like do my original music.
There you go. Yeah.
But now, yeah, there's a lot of like with Cesar, there's definitely we've been where I mean we talk about this stuff sometimes, like oh, we should try like write our own stuff, and also for the jazz groups. So I'm definitely open to that, but
Great.
yeah, so
Looking forward, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a big choro community in the United States. I don't know if you know that. And probably Cesar plays with those guys, right? There's a choro camp too in the same Django and June.
Yeah,
The same guy, Andrew, I think,
yeah,
right?
yeah, Andrew Lawrence.
Andrew Lawrence,
Yeah.
really nice guy. He talked to me on Facebook, I think, a few times. Super cool guy.
Yeah.
And there's the Django and June, and the previous week or the following week, you
Yeah.
have the choro camp, right?
Right.
And they have a choro camp in Washington State too, the Centrum Choro.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been there one time.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing with Anetco and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
guys from Trio Brasileiro too.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a growing community.
Yeah,
I hope it grows more and more.
Absolutely. I feel like it's kind of like same thing is happening to Shore, what's happened to Gypsy Jazz, that it's like it's it's just kind of gaining popularity. People just need to hear it, and people fall in love with this music, and because yeah, it's so great, so
Yeah,
it's just
man.
like
Why not?
yeah, yeah. So it's like yeah, it's great thing to see, and hopefully also we get that stuff going in Europe too, like that'd be um yeah, like we did those couple tours with Cesar in Finland, and we have always part of our show, like uh we ask people like who's familiar, like have you ever heard of Shoro, and like then
One
like
or two in the audience, like
yeah, like there's always like in Finland there was like not really, maybe one or something, like who was
Mhm.
really a fan. But then it's like okay, who knows samba or bossa nova, and then it's a lot more people, and then it's like
Uh-huh.
kind of like it says are explaining the history that everything comes from this, and but people love it, that the and it's also the kind of the first reaction of people is similar to Gypsy Jazz. It's like like people who are not musicians or not even don't know much about music, but they really
They fall
can,
in love with it
yeah, and they
immediately.
can
Yeah.
really appreciate it, and yeah, and it's just so pleasant.
That's
So
what I said, man. You guys are ambassadors for
yeah.
sure. So thank you for that.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, I think in the future, man. I think in the near future, in the next 10 or 20 years max, we're gonna have a lot of people playing choro everywhere,
Yeah,
all continents, man, and
yeah, I
Europe,
hope so. Yeah,
Australia, Africa,
yeah,
Asia.
yeah,
Hopefully, man.
yeah, totally,
I know there's some people playing choro in Japan,
yeah,
and yeah, we just want it to grow and grow and
yeah,
more and
yeah.
more.
But that's what happened to Gypsy Jazz. It's like now, like yeah, you say like you're like a world famous, but it's like it's kind of there's all over the world. There's a group of people playing Django's music or Gypsy Jazz, and it's but in a way it's a small community of people, but it's
Yes, it is.
such a great community. It's so friendly, and yeah, it's playing this stuff. Yeah, you just make friends all over the world, and
Yeah, here we
yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah. No, it's beautiful. Yeah,
If it weren't for Gypsy Jazz,
yeah,
we wouldn't be here.
right,
And Choro
right.
too, of
Yeah,
course.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, man, cool, man. Great, Oli. I think we covered pretty much everything I wanted to
Mm.
talk about. So, is there anything you want to say to anybody, or about your experience in Brazil, or to your fans worldwide?
Well, yeah, I mean, this has been an amazing experience, and I still have a week and a half to go here in Brazil. We have these two shows here in Brasilia, which are gonna be amazing, and then going to back to Sao Paulo for like two. I have two shows there, but I'll be there for a week and a
Who are you
half.
playing with?
I'm playing with Marcelo Sicano, great
Oh,
accordion
I
player,
know. Marcel's
and
getting great.
and then with Jose and Binacoque is on guitar for the other one, and there's a violinist Florian. Also,
Cristea, I think.
yeah, also from
All
Romania.
great dudes, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I've met all these guys in Piracicaba, everybody.
right, right. But
So
it's
nice, man.
it's been such an inspiring trip to hear this music. Um, like like in the source from the source, so to speak, and also it's like I love all the Brazilian music, so I'm looking forward to going check out some samba jazz and all this groovy stuff you guys
There
have.
you go,
And,
man. Always welcome, dude.
yeah, hope to
So,
be back soon.
yeah,
Yeah.
there we have it. Olli Soikkeli.
Hey,
Thank
muito
you so
obrigado.
much for coming.
Thanks
We're
so
waiting
much.
for another time, another episode, and
Yeah.
looking forward to playing with you tonight
Oh yeah.
and tomorrow too.
Me
So,
too. Me too.
obrigado a todo mundo. Esse aqui foi o Olli Soikkeli. Cara, muita gente boa. E é isso aí. O nosso primeiro episódio aqui já foi com esse super estrela aí do Jazz Manouche Mundial. E espero vocês dos próximos episódios. Vamos nessa. Obrigado.